Thank you for joining us today. Now, the conversation which we are going to take on today is, I believe it's an urgent one. And the reason is because that no one can stop the wheel of change, and that's true. So, the conversation is about a change which is taking place, and it is taking place so fast, such that even though it's unconscious, it has already started eating us. I know after COVID-19, things started to change, especially economically. The ease with which people are getting money has started to become tougher and tougher. You'll discover you'll have a project here and there, you'll strike a deal here and there, and you'll get money, and your life was progressing. Companies will give people stipends here and there, but that seems to be dwindling. If you take your products in the marketplace, customers would frequent your shop. People will be dropping an email after an email requesting your services or your products. But of late, the same has changed. And everybody in the public is like, money is not available the way it used to be available. Now, I want us to dissect the question of why is money disappearing in the pockets of majority in the public. When we tackle this question, we'll end up discovering why do we have the current income crisis? Because the truth is, there's an income crisis. People are not able to meet their primary needs, their secondary needs, and their tertiary needs. Their basic needs are food, shelter, nowadays education, clothing. Of course, there are many solutions to that, but I think the first solution should be digging deep to know what is the genesis of all this, and where can we start if we want to have a permanent solution for the current income crisis or the current economic difficulties that we are facing as individuals and also as a nation, not only as a nation, but as a globe. Now, in the midst of the general public complaining that there is an economic crisis, the truth is the richest people are feel the richer. And that's why if you look at the list of top 100 richest people from 2020 to date, their wealth has been multiplying. So what is the multiplication factor of their wealth when the common person is crying that the economy is not doing well? So what is the magic which is happening to the rich guys, and what is the disadvantage which is affecting low-income earners or the common citizens? And this is not only in Kenya, but it's across the globe. So let's pay attention. Now, since COVID-19, of course, it came with a lot of rules. We were supposed to isolate ourselves, keep social distance. We were encouraged to embrace this one particular thing, which has completely shifted the globe since 2020. And we were taught to embrace digitization of processes, and we are taught to embrace virtual processes, especially virtual meetings, and if possible, we do things the online way. So what is digitization or going online? What is really that? And this is the truth behind all that. It is simply systems and machines taking the place of man in the workplace. When the campaign or the gospel of digitizing processes and going online in everything that we do, when that was launched, when that was spearheaded, when that crusade began, what happened in the marketplace and in the workplace was this: substitution of human labor for automated systems operations. And that is why the innovation of AI, artificial intelligence, and right now they are saying they are innovating artificial general intelligence. That is why the artificial intelligence realities has been catalyzing in its invention of the marketplace like never before. So the rich guys or company owners came to discover when we automate systems, they happen to work faster and better in terms of producing results than humans. And they discovered, of course, this is cost effective, this is efficient, and it is more profitable, of course. So when that took place, every rich company or every company or business owner started thinking, how can I go online? How can I automate my systems? How can I use AI and of course very soon AGI to ensure what people are doing for me, I can do through machines. And of course, as I've said, it is less costly compared to humans. It is more efficient compared to human labor. So when that was adopted since 2020, now it's almost 5-6 years, when that came into the marketplace, something happened. The demand for human labor declined in the marketplace and also in the workplace. So what happened? The general public, especially the young people, listen these millennials and Gen Zs, and also Gen Alpha and Gen Beta very soon. Now, what happened was this: the general public remained in the mentality of go to school, get your certificate, graduate, do your CV, send it to different companies. They'll call you for an interview and they will give you a job. So the general public remained wired in that system as far as generating an income is concerned for the average person in the world, especially the common citizens. So everybody is going to college, everybody is going to the university. It's super and it's good. And then after that, they are graduating. And then after that, finding the best app which can do CVs. They do their CV and they send to companies. And they don't get the calls for interviews. And a year goes by, another year goes by, to a point that people are getting convinced that there are no jobs around. And of course, I will also back them and tell them that is very true. Because for example, look at Kenya. Gen Zs are 18.75 million people. Millennials are around 12 million. Now, that is close to 30 million or 35 million young people. These guys are learned, brilliant, energetic. They are very healthy. And each one of them wants the potential and the brilliance they carry within to be given an opportunity, either in a white-collar place or in whichever space by a particular company, either private or public, to work. When you list the number of companies and the number of ministries, that is the public sector in Kenya, you'll discover they can never offer 34 million opportunities for the current young people. So of the 35, you'll discover the private and the public sectors have done a good job. Probably they have absorbed 10 million of them on their IS side. So what happens to the 24 million pending? They are still sending CVs. They still have the mentality, I went through education, I deserve a good job because my CV is beautiful. So that remains the mentality of the general public. But what they don't know is, in the workplace, companies, governments are already embracing online systems and automations of system through artificial intelligence, and very soon artificial general intelligence, whereby these are machines being modified and built in such a way that they can absorb knowledge and information like human beings. They can learn through experience, and on top of that, they can apply the knowledge which they have in the workplace. So that means 100% machines will be able to do, or systems will be able to do, what humans are doing. And as far as companies and public institutions are focusing towards that, human labor is going to be lesser needed in the marketplace. So what happens to the mentality of getting a good job, earning an income, sustaining your family, meeting their basic needs, their secondary needs, and their tertiary needs? That expectation and that wiring of mindset is going to get disappointed. And with disappointment comes depression, stress, and comes a lot of esteem issues, and of course, conflicts in society. So what is wisdom? This is wisdom. We shift our mentality from getting a good job and earning a good salary or income to meet our needs. We shift that mentality, or we erase that mentality from us, from within our subconscious and conscious mind, and we bring in this mentality. learning how we can become business owners by ourselves, learning how we can become income creators, not only income earners. And how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? I believe there are two ways to do this. Number one, we learn how to monetize our academic certifications. Yes, you have your diploma. Yes, you have your degree. Yes, you have your master's and probably your PhD. And you see, the frustrating thing is this. We go through the system of education, we are given the certificate, but we are not told how to monetize that certificate. We are only told now we qualify to be taken in by employers. And the truth is, the reality of the guys who are supposed to employ us is what we have just seen. Those guys are considering to embrace online systems, systems automation through artificial intelligence than using us. And that's why today, I'm sorry to say this, diploma and degree, majority of startups and majority of companies, they will offer as little as 20,000, even sometimes 15,000 Kenya shillings. And of course, when you compare the amount of money which a parent, a guardian, an organization paid into the system of educations where we were studying or where we acquire knowledge, you can't compare with 20,000 or 15,000. So, because the former mentality which worked for Generation X, and why did it work for Generation X? They were children of the baby boomers. And who are the baby boomers? They were the children of the silent generation, the generation which suffered World War I, World War II. There was crumbling of everything, of systems, of infrastructure, of everything. And therefore, after World War II, when UN was established and peace was embraced globally, now the baby boomers had the opportunity to create and establish systems. The system of education, all infrastructural systems, the system of agriculture. So these systems needed managers, and those managers had to be taught on how to manage these systems so that income can be generated by every system. And that's why education was established and was championed. And that's why any Generation X who embraced education today, at least they own what we can call wealth. Or anyone who decided to get into business and be serious at it, today they have what we can call some wealth. Or at least when you study their families and also their line, their present and their future, there is some gleam of light. Now, Gen X had that advantage of managing systems. That's why teachers, early 2000s, 1990s, 1980s, were great people in terms of the income they were earning compared to the teacher of today. That's why bankers were great people. That's why anyone who was working in government in serious position or in senior positions, those guys were society leaders, unlike today. So with that understanding, millennials and Gen Zs have to understand this. The advantage of education giving you a super job, which Gen X, who happens to be our parents' ed, we do not have. We do not have. So what we have is this. We think, how can we establish institutions with systems for income generation on our own? And that's why I said there are two ways. One, learning how to monetize our certificates, and two, learning how to monetize our natural abilities. And I believe this is something which we are supposed to study with a lot of keenness, because if we are able to use our certifications to establish institutions with systems, now we will use artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, and every other online platform to expand, grow, and establish our sources of income, which is our own businesses. And you see, the beauty with certification is like it gives you a foundation of confidence, courage, and credibility to engage in the marketplace. The other thing, the beautiful thing with natural ability, these are strengths within our nature. These are characteristics which were wired within us by our Creator, which project as natural abilities. And once these characteristics project as natural abilities, we discover we have strengths within us, which can solve people's problems in society. So when we brand them as products and services and we take them in the marketplace, we become business owners. and we establish brands whereby now we can bring in artificial intelligence and every other technological advancement to propel our business in the marketplace. You could be a trainer, you could be an artist, you could be an innovator, you could be an IT guru. That is where you are naturally good at. You could be a counselor, you could be probably a textile expert. Now, when you discover your certificate makes you that, or your natural abilities makes you that, now you take that into the marketplace confidently. Don't be afraid. You have numerous customers which you can't exhaust. And what is my evidence? Population. The population is growing. And whenever there is a population, there are needs, there are questions which needs to be answered. And what are the answers? Products and services. So if you are a young person and you come forth with a business, either from your certification or from your natural abilities, I want to tell you the market is there. What you need to do is just package yourself well, courageously step into the market. Tell people what you have, be visible. Probably you can take a training which will teach you how to monetize your certifications and also how to monetize your natural abilities. And that's why I came up with Skills Bridge Pro, whereby we take anyone who is willing through a process of identifying the business they carry with their nature. And we call that class Natural Abilities Income, whereby we guide people to, number one, understand their nature, the characteristics or features of their nature, the value in those features and in those characteristics, and we show them how are those values, solutions into the marketplace, as services and products. And then we guide them step by step on how they can enter into the market, face the initial challenges, conquer those initial challenges, earn an income, grow along, and become gurus in the marketplace. And I believe this is the way to go, because if we become market players, artificial intelligence and any other technological innovation will be working for us. It will not displace us from the workplace or the marketplace, but it will magnify, amplify, and multiply our presence and our impact in the marketplace. We'll make more profits as Elon Musk's wealth multiplies to $1 trillion. Ours will grow from probably 100,000 all the way to at least 1 million Kenya shillings. And then the other day, 10 million Kenya shillings. And then the other day, even to 1 billion. So if we are to train millennials, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, and every other generation which will come forth to become business owners and to use advantage of artificial intelligence to grow that which they have come up with, I want to tell you the current income crisis is gonna end and we are going to enjoy living, because I believe the Creator never brought us here to suffer. So kindly know this: the current income crisis can end if we generate businesses from our natural abilities and from our academic certifications. Therefore, stop waiting for that company to give you a call so that you can start earning. Kindly learn how to monetize your certifications, learn how to monetize your natural abilities, build the company, start generating your own income. And that's amazing, because financial freedom at last can be a reality into our lives.